Good morning, everyone. It's a beautiful day here in Alberta, which is rare this time of year. My name is Sandra Suter. My Indigenous name is Ogijidakwe, and that means peaceful warrior woman. And I'm honored to be here with you all today to talk a little bit about the importance of a land acknowledgement and to provide one from where I am. I just came from a 2-day conference in Treaty 6 territory in Edmonton and was reminded that we often don't share with people that land acknowledgements have been part of the history of Indigenous peoples for millennia. And they're a way of introducing ourselves to other folks so that they understand who we are, where we're from, how we might be related, what kind of law comes from the land that informs our thinking and our values and our ways of operating on the planet. So although my name is Ogijidakwe, which is an Anishinaabe or Ojibwe name, my elders are Blackfoot from this territory. And so I say Oki to you in Blackfoot. And I'm also going to say Tanshi in Michif, which is Métis, which is my Indigenous ancestry, and Tansi, which is hello in Cree, which is also my Indigenous ancestry. I'm coming to you from Mohkinstsis, which is the Blackfoot name for Calgary, which means elbow. So the old people have teachings about how the river here, the Elbow River, is actually the elbow of when you're trying to find your way across the land. There's a place in Mohkinstsis also called Nose Hill Park. I don't know what the Blackfoot word for that is, but if you think about how you're going to get across the land, it makes sense that if you want to get to the nose of somebody, you're going to go from the elbow in a certain direction. So that's kind of how some of the place-based names derive. And we are here in Treaty 7 territory, which is also the home of Métis Nation, Region 3 of Alberta, and the home of many non-status and Indigenous people who are not from this territory, which is in the Blackfoot Confederacy, comprised of the Kainai, Siksika, Beikani nations, and the Stoney Nakoda peoples who are up near the mountains, near Banff, and those are the Chiniki Bears Paw, and there's one other community there that's not coming to mind for me right now, my apologies. And the Tsuut'ina people who live right outside of Calgary and actually part of in Calgary. And and so those are some of the lessons that come from the land here. It's an important day here. It's an important day across Canada. And it's always an important day to remember the children, because we stand on the shoulders of the 7 generations who come before. And without these children here in Canada, I don't think that the reconciliation efforts and the reconciliation actions that are taking place now would have started. Those children are guiding our actions, those children who were lost or who experienced the trauma of residential school and the survivors of residential school, because mainstream Canada, you like to think about humans as being kind and loving always. And so when you hear about a genocide that impacted a population and took away their children, and when you think about the news that came out last June about the unmarked graves, the children who were lost forever, it's an ugly, ugly truth. And we don't want to look at it, we don't want to feel it or experience it, because it's very visceral and real. And so when the rest of the world heard the news about what happened in Canada, the news that the elders and people who'd attended residential schools always knew, talked about, felt about, hurt about, tried to heal about, the rest of Canada couldn't any longer, and the rest of the world couldn't any longer say these things in Canada didn't happen. These things in a first world country didn't happen. And they happened across the planet. And so those children brought to light things that those living couldn't have. And so on their journey, we honor them and we honor their tie to the land. And in our hearts, we help them on their journey as they help us on ours. And yes, thank you very much. I am an Indigenous artist. I'm a musician, singer, songwriter, and now film producer because of Darryl Hurs, CD Baby. Robert Singerman is here in my home today in Calgary. He and I are going on a little road trip to learn from the land. and to learn from elders in our territory. And I'm so excited to be able to be doing that because I don't understand who I am until I understand who I am on the land. And I think that when you think about who you are as a human, when you think about your connection to women, like how many women just head straight for the hot tub or the pool the minute they get to some sort of a resort, right? Women are tied to water even more so than the land, and we're all tied to the land. And so we honor those connections because they make us who we are, and that's how we become whole, and that's how we heal. And just pay attention to the critters that come to you and what their messages are when you're out on the land, and be on the land when you're not feeling quite whole. Thank you for this opportunity. Hi.
You're on mute, Robert.
The old mute. Thanks, Darryl. Yeah, I wanted to be muted. It's good for me to be mute sometimes because I talk too much. Muted. No, it's great to be here with everybody and the people who are coming in from Africa and from around the world. It's thank you very much for being here as well. To share some time together and this what to call it, this adventure of Be Present Everywhere was created really, as I explained, as Tengol, who's our guest here from Ghana, speaker as well, who I met a couple of days ago before I came here from New York. That this was created so that during the pandemic, when everybody was at home, remote, first time I think in maybe millennia where the whole world was experiencing the same thing, where the whole world was home. It's a very amazing thing that the whole world was experiencing the same thing at the same time, and everybody being, in their space and not traveling and not going on the streets. I live in New York City, downtown Manhattan, quiet, silence, you can walk on the land in Manhattan without cars zooming by, because everybody was fearful. So we were all afraid at the same time as well, afraid of contact, afraid of going outside. So this was created to kind of keep the community together as much as possible in that time, to create new connections, to honor all of us and the connections that we can have with technology, through technology, the way that we can rise above our fear to be together, and to be present, and to meet new people. So it's more like a concept of introducing people and connecting with people while we were at home, so hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of speakers have been present everywhere. We have here 4 continents, I think, or something like that. I don't know, represented here. And, we talked about the genocide of, of the indigenous people, and think of the genocide of Africa too, serious genocide and slavery, and how we're all overcoming these historical happenings to create new opportunities through introductions, connections, and music, which is really what brings us all together and has always brought us together. So it's kind of a concept that people can introduce each other and have some kind of communication. And Mike, who is working with wonderful people at ONGEA in Kenya, has created this platform, and I was privileged to work with him to hopefully shed some light. We talked about export offices a couple of days ago, 3 o'clock in my morning in New York, and talked about licensing with one of Darryl's teammates, David Alexander from Downtown Music Holding. Hey, Mike, good to see you here. What he's done over the years for Kenya to educate people, to build capacity, to build a community, to work with, piracy issues, to change stuff, to make things happen, to, we're all either change agents or not. and you know, the way that we work with other people and the way that we envision things and make our vision happen is really what it's all about. So I'll mute myself again and let you all introduce yourself. I just want to say that before I do that my mission is giving music subtitles so I can understand the music from Ghana or from Kenya or from indigenous people here in the States and in Australia. And I can understand great Swedish music and great Brazilian music and great Viking music. If we can find some of that, you know, so that songs, so the meaning of songs, you know, indigenous songs can be 10 or up to 40,000 years old. I mean, think about that. What a 40,000-year-old song can bring to us, you know. African music, traditional African music and current African music, if I could understand all of that, it would give me a whole different consciousness of things. So that's been my mission, giving music subtitles. And I work with LyricFind, who put lyrics online, and anybody who wants to talk about that, please hit me up, robert@lyricfind.com. And I'm just, you know, trying to keep moving the ball forward, keep, you know, changing things and inspiring people. And you all are as well. So everybody who's here, not just the speakers, but the listeners too. The listeners are really more important than the speakers. So with that, I'll mute myself and maybe let my friend Darryl take it away.
Hi, everybody. Honored to be here. Thank you so much, especially on a day like today. And thank you, Sandra, for doing the acknowledgement as always. And look forward to seeing you later today in person. My name is Darryl Hurs, and as Robert said, I work with Downtown Music. Basically, I do the market development here in Canada with the brands Fuga, CD Baby, Foundy, and of course Song Trust are a lot of our main focus brands here. Our main goal is really to have tools available for creators at whatever level of career they're at, from DIY artist to producer to songwriter to record label. We want to basically provide them with the tools that can help them in their career, especially in distribution, getting their music out to the world, but really importantly, collecting properly, making sure that they're paid properly and on time. Very important aspect to everything that we do. The other hat I wear is Indie Week, as also I think was mentioned. Indie Week was an in-person festival and conference. This would have been our 20th year. Our last in-person event, we had over 240 bands from around the world. We took over downtown Toronto, 24 venues over 4 or 5 nights. And we also have a conference aspect. And during the pandemic, it was really difficult because we couldn't do what we normally do. We also lost contracts, which thankfully we just got one back, producing events for the Maple Leafs here in Toronto, which is a big contract. But yeah, during the pandemic, we had to really rethink what we do and how we do it. So we moved our conference online, and it was very successful. And so much so that we felt that if we waited 12 months to produce it again, we would lose momentum. So we created additional online conferences, and now we produce 4 online conferences a year. We've done 9 so far already in the last 2.5 years. And our next one is in November. It is called Indie Week. Each conference has a different focus, and that's where we feel that our success has been. Instead of trying to do everything all at once, we really do a lot of focus. So Screen by Screen is February, and that's music and tech. And then we do Indie 101 in May, and that is focused on education. Music Pro Summit was just this month, and it is high-level industry discussions talking strategy, data, marketing. And then Indie Week pulls a little bit of all that together, but we have a very international focus. So we bring in people from all the markets as speakers, and we do a lot of focus on B2B, making connections similar to this. It's been very successful for us online, and with that, we're building an online platform that we're hoping to launch in November. And basically think of it as a Facebook, but just for music. So when you log in, all the other people are managers, musicians, record labels, producers, conferences. So a lot of networking opportunities. And we will be hosting mentorship sessions, education sessions, and we'll be providing a lot of great content for those in the music industry. So we've been very active in the digital space. We do believe that people have been making great connections. We've had amazing moments in hosting these Be Present Everywheres. It's been an interesting journey in that we can still have that human connection even though we are far apart. And thank you for having me here. I really appreciate the invite. Thank you, Mike, and thank you, Robert.
Thanks, Darryl. And I also would like, if you don't mind, to talk a little bit about Nation by Nation before I give it to our host, Mike. Sorry, Mike, I should have given it to you first, but you know, it's 7 o'clock in the morning here. But just before you know, Darryl ends his introduction, because Nation by Nation, I think in the export work that you're doing is really interesting, and it kind of ties into, you know, my mission as well for subtitles. So if you don't mind sharing a little bit about that, that would be appreciated.
Sure. So we're in the process of launching an export program, and we soft launched it last year during Indie Week, where we've built a roster of artists that we represent in the export side through our partners in Canada. So they've already vetted export ready artists, and we were able to have 16 participate, and we would present EPKs to bookers, buyers of festivals, and promoters from around the world. And they would come back and say, here's the artist that we're actually interested in, and we would facilitate the meetings. And the goal is to meet online that produces in-person business. As a result, one artist, Soft Cult, was booked to play a performance in Bangkok. It was literally their 5th performance as Soft Cult. And it was very successful in that it was all expenses paid. They got paid a really reasonable wage, but they also sold out the show as headliners in a new market. So 500 people cap room, they sold out. And just to say where they've gone, we've just produced a show with them in London, Ontario 2 weeks ago. And last night, their manager sent me the photos. I'll try to bring it up on my phone. They opened for Incubus at Royal Albert Hall in UK, sold out show. So in a year, they've gone from a small stage to that was last night.
Wow.
And so we feel that that's a good sign of success to come. And we also had 2 artists booked in Brazil at Coma Fest that we presented there. And we also have artists that are going to Peru, Chile. We're going to be in Sweden for Future Echoes next year, presenting artists. And the ultimate goal is it's not a Canadian showcase, it's an international showcase. So when we're making negotiations with the festivals, we're actually looking to build up to 4 spots. It'll be 2 Canadians and 2 international artists. So we're creating a network. So for instance, we just were in Brazil. Now Brazil artists can go to Peru with us or Portugal with us, and Portugal can come to Brazil and so on. So we're really creating a network that will help bring artists to the light and also hopefully power their level up to the next part of their careers as Soft Cult has. Thank you, Robert.
Thanks for explaining that, Darryl. Appreciate it. And also, I wanted to let everybody know that Darryl and his colleague Zach enabled lyric translation at Coma Fest, which is also a huge festival in the capital of Brazil, Brasilia, so that the Canadian artists singing in English could be understood by the Brazilians who don't speak English, which is most of like 8% or 90% of the Brazilians. I don't know exactly the numbers, Baladeva might know, but a lot of Brazilians don't speak English. So, and Darryl told me something which I loved. He said that even the Brazilians who don't speak English were singing along after they could understand the lyrics of an artist named Amoy, because the lyrics were translated, you know, which is really the context of music and what music brings to being present everywhere, to sharing our experience. And I wanted you to talk about Nation by Nation a little bit before I introduce Mike, because through ONGEA, I kind of helped, hopefully a little bit, put together, this particular virtual event through helping, with some grants that Mike's company won. And what we're trying to do also with grants is to create a Kenya and East African music trade office that I talked a little bit about the other day when my friends from Australia and South Africa were here, the export offices from those two countries. And but to me, export is always about trade. So the internationalization of the Canadian artists through the context, but also through the travel, and bringing them to people, because right now we're in a global market. All the services are global services. It's not about sending plastic to Africa or Africans sending plastic to America. It's a global service. So we need to be able to understand the music and then to see them live as well. So the whole export aspect and the trade aspect is why I'm friends with ONGEA, friends with Mike. He's also with Darryl and some other people around the world. He's also on the kind of the international board of Sim Sao Paulo in Brazil. So thanks, Mike, for all of that. And I'd like you to as well join us and introduce yourself. And maybe, it's kind of the end of this event, I think, right? Today's the last day. So go ahead.
Okay, I hope this mic's going to work. Can you hear me now? No? Yes? Excellent. It's been one of those days. It's the last day, and it's been a very long 3 days, and technology has failed us on a number of levels, but it's fine. The show goes on. I'm a founder of a music and entertainment company called Fat Music and Entertainment in 1999 in Nairobi, Kenya, serving Africa. We have interests in media, event production, industry building, which is what ONGEA is, and music licensing. We've been agents for Share Music Publishing for Eastern Africa, who some of you here may know, is now part of Downtown Group. So Kenya, ONGEA was previously known as Kenya Music Week for 10 years as an in-person 4-day trade show, three pillars: trade, learn, and showcase. So showcase performances, about 30, educational panels, and a trade show. Then we rebranded to ONGEA. ONGEA means speak up in Kiswahili, which is the regional language here. And it's just about that. It's about speaking up, about talking about transforming the industry. And ONGEA is trying to help develop an industry in Eastern Africa that is more professional, transparent, and profitable for all. And we've branched out to be a little bit more into the creative industry as well. But music is such a powerful driver in the creative sector. So this is our second 100% online ONGEA. Our last in person was in February 2020. What's been interesting is that it's been very different to last year. I heard some of the opening comments that people do want to get back into in person, and we've just applied for a grant to go back into in person for next year. So I'm hoping in the next 2 years, I hope we get it. So let's see. But we were fortunate to get a Music in Africa grant from some German organizations this year that enabled us to pull it off. In previous years, we've been pretty much funding it ourselves through our event business. But we all know what happened in 2 events in the pandemic. Then I also have an entertainment technology startup called YAKWETU. YAKWETU in Kiswahili means of us and for us. So the whole idea of YAKWETU is retailing and distributing African content. Our first service was launched 3 years ago. We celebrated our 3rd birthday last night. And that's called My Movies Africa. I'll actually ask Liza if you could just put the links in the chat. So My Movies Africa, you can rent or you can own African movies from all across the world. It's available in 195 countries and territories. And we are soon moving on to other content through different brands as well. So we'll be a house of brands. So we'll have online television, virtual reality, podcasts, audiobooks, and music videos, and ultimately gaming, all 100% African content. So Other platforms, of course, exist, but they don't give any focus to Africa content, and there's a lot of content on the continent. And we're currently in a seed round, looking for $500,000, but we've bootstrapped this for the last 8 years, and it's been quite a learning curve developing your own tech. But there's some brilliant developers in Kenya, early 20s, very smart kids, and we're really doing some amazing work. So it's quite exciting, and something for me that I'd like to leave my legacy as on the continent, in terms of having a distribution platform worldwide for African content. Thank you. Happy to answer any questions later on when we do the one-on-one. Cheers. Thanks for coming. I really appreciate you guys being here.
Thanks a lot, Mike, for the work you do. And the African content, for me is really important. I had the honor to represent a couple of icons of African music, actually more than a couple. Fela Anikulapo-Kuti and King Sunny Ade, and worked with the music of Marikante from different African countries, and understanding the context of different people being able to speak up, and me being able to understand what ONGEA means, for example, or YAKWETU means, for example. Movies have subtitles, music will have subtitles and is going to have subtitles, and that's kind of like the vision, so that our African friends can communicate in their languages, not in our languages. The greatest African, Nelson Mandela, said that when you speak to someone in your language, you're speaking to their head. When you speak to someone in their language, you're speaking to their heart. It makes a big difference. So anyway, thanks, Mike, for all you do, and I hope that the Kenyan East African Music Trade Office can become a reality, and that the different East African countries can work together, because collective action is what it's all about, to make change. You can try all you want alone, and you can do a lot alone, but if you are present everywhere, it means present everywhere with a lot of people, and we need each other to succeed. So thanks. So I'm going to pass the talking stick to my new African friend from Ghana. And they used to say that there's 6 degrees of separation between people. I think now with the web, it's gone down, and just in 2 seconds we found a common friend. 2 nights ago at 3 o'clock in the morning in New York, a Ghanaian artist named Rocky Dewuli, who's also good friends with Stevie Wonder, and who spent a lot of time in Ghana. So Tengol, please, I'll probably pronounce your name wrong, so please introduce yourself, and let everybody know here who you are and what you're doing and why you're here. And thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Robert Singerman, and it's an honor to be with you guys here. I really, really appreciate it. Unlike you did mention, it was just a minute or two, 3 days ago that we met, and that is the power of being everywhere. And today we are sitting here to have a conversation, and I'm super honored, to be with all of you. My name is Tengol Kplemani. I'm from Ghana, and we started a company called The Taste of Africa and Boundaryless Media. So The Taste of Africa basically was to look at look within us as an African people, and the disconnection that is holding us hostage, as a people of the continent and the world, at large. So we built up a festival called Cultural Oneness. And this cultural oneness is basically to look within our cultures and the similarities that holds us together as people of the planet. And we see there's one earth, and with human beings, and all the human beings, we vibrate the environments that we find ourselves in to the world, and that is the powerful tool as being everywhere. And we wanted that vibrations, to be everywhere among us as people of Africa and people of the world. And this is the project that we building together in connections with all the stakeholders and all the the agencies, across our institutions across the world that share our aspiration, so we can build a proper, creative industry, and also leverage on it, to the benefit of exports, and tourism, among ourselves as people and the world at large. And unlike Robert Singerman did mention LyricFind, and I've been in Ghana, and this one key thing definitely I would like to work on with him on being our indigenous content. And we look within, we try to project ourselves, but the world has opened to a point where people want to understand it. The vibration of music is very loud. Sometimes it connects you through the sound. Later, people want to find out what you said. They want to get, to the details of the message, and that becomes very difficult, for them to have access to. But LyricFind being something that can help them translate the message to them, that will also help, us, as people. And I think that's a great initiative. I will want to get on with Robert Singerman, to get on. Like Darryl also said, if we have Ghanaian, music being featured in such, platform, that's a great deal, for us, because people want to hear it. But who is serving them the we as the creative practitioners who have a vision of seeing ourselves as people of the world, that we can enjoy each other's cultures, without judgmentation and without condemnation, and just to enjoy the vibe and listening to the message. Because the reason why we are far apart from each other is to tell the story of the land you find yourself in. And that is the story I'm sitting here. And that's the reason why I have all of you here telling us what is happening in India, or what is happening in Canada and all that. And that's the vibration, that's the power of God's creation on earth. So, and music, I know Mike did mention, music is not only the vibration of, is the vibration of everything. It's one of the most, I would say, the powerful tool on earth that drive every business, every information, across the world. But mostly, I would say here, this side of the world, we haven't been much well presented or well structured ourselves. So mostly the government, offices look down upon the creative sector because they see it as a more like a party or a fund venture, that is not contributing anything to the GDP. But if we can look at it as a business, that is something that drives all the other business that government is working on, because every business, you need music in it. Everything we do, you need music in it. And if we can present ourselves that way, I think we will be the most powerful people on earth to tell whatever story we want to tell and how we want to present it. And one other thing I also do, I do consultancy for Ndundu in terms of getting Ghanaian artists, into the platform, on their platform, and in pushing our music, from this side to the East African region through the Ndundu platform. That has been something I also do for them. Also deal with a music recognition technology in Nigeria called Go Create Africa, where they work with all the CMOs to see how best we can have integration system for ourselves as a continent that really understand our music and see the royalties that we make, and they'll be able to tell how much Ghanaian music is being played in Nigeria, or how much Ghanaian music is being played in Kenya, and what kind of royalties that needs to be paid to Ghanaian creative people, or that need to be paid to the Nigerian creative people. And that's the technology also help, in working with them, across Africa for that. And sometimes I do take special project for our musician union here in Ghana. If they want some special project or concept, in terms of how to have systems, working for us. One of the issues that, or the problem I see in Africa, let me speak for Ghana, in particular. Sometimes I don't know personally. Sometimes is it intentional? Intentional data distractions that we're creating for ourselves, because we don't have data to back our creative industry, because it's more like intentional scattered, structure data for us. Everyone is trying to survive on its own. But I think if we go as a unit, with a proper data structure, telling our story, telling our music, its origins and its involvement till today, I think we'll be in a better position to also push ourselves out there. And it's been great honor speaking to you all, great legends like yourself. And I think we will be talking more and to collaborate more and to see how best we can work together to put the creative industry first among ourselves, and also to tell our story and to get our cultures loud and clear out there to the rest of the world. Thank you.
Well, thanks very much for some inspiring words, Tengol. I appreciate it a lot. And one thing that I want to say, like for all of us to kind of take care about and, really understand that things are changing, and things are changing because of us, right? So, the belief system that governments are not here to serve the people is one that I'm personally taking a big crack at changing, because I tell you what, the EU is right now supporting us, and Canada is supporting the creative economy. And I hope that Ghana supports your creative economy. And the problems that you've identified about data fragmentation are real problems. But with collective action and with people like you, pushing it, it's going to change, right? So, we have to kind of remember that we have power to change the governments and to change the world. It's only us that can change governments, We talked about Nelson Mandela before. He was in prison and he was changing things, right? So, if we look at the opportunities that we have to change things, to work with the government. I was on here 3 days ago with the Kenyan Presidential Commission for Music, That's an opportunity who's a musician, right? The governments know the power of music. They do know that because there's people in the government. I talked to ambassadors to Canada yesterday from Finland, from Norway, because the Nordics are here at this conference, Breakout West. So ambassadors, presidents, leaders, they do know the power of music. Even when it's a president that we don't respect, they still know the power of music, and it's up to us to actually change it. So we all have power. And I just, you talked about, the creation and music, and I want to introduce you to a friend of mine who's been straddling between India and Brazil, because of his own, personal beliefs and musical beliefs. And he's a guy that I met at a music conference who flies a lot, and is one of the people that I talk about when I go to conferences, who is fearless with people. So why don't you introduce yourself, Baladeva, because of your fearlessness, and please introduce yourself.
Thank you so much. And as I said before, it starts going live. Hello, everyone who is here in this virtual room, and everyone who is around this planet. But I also don't speak just for this planet. Our work, actually, I'm Baladeva Nitai. After a long journey in my life, I went to India. That's why I received this name. As I reborn again, I'm from Brazil, and everyone is speaking until now. What I'm listening, it's making a lot of sense. Start with Sandra. The indigenous are the first people that were in the land, and also from Brazil. That it's just almost my age country. Brazil as a Portugal colony has only 500 years. So for me, that I'm not actually a descendant of only Brazilian people, right? I'm descending from Italy people that maybe came from Persia and then maybe have some connection in Asia. That's why from all my family alive now, not from the past generations, but from now, I got interested in some philosophical, and I went to philosophy university, and I'm just explaining this because everything we are talking about music, as Tengol beautifully said, is the expression of what we are living. So first of all, we are always working in ourselves. So my new project with my wife, that it's Natya Yoga, Natya in Sanskrit, ancient, before Sanskrit, in Devanagari, it's called, it means arts. And yoga means the connection, right? In the physical, mental, and spiritual connection. So what we've been working, actually, it's in we met after a long time. I start as a son. I'm a son of a musician, and I born, since I born, I remember being in music. And when I was 13, I started touring because I had a very rock and roll. I was a 13 years old rock star here in Belo Horizonte, and interstate role we started. So since the beginning, it was a mass in my life, a lot of publicity. And at that time, there wasn't internet, right? It was in the ends of the 90s. So the thing is, was mobiles and real concerts happening and touring, and very difficult to record an album and then put it in a touring and spreading them. So I never stopped touring. I met Robert in Canada because my inner wish was to understand that, like, okay, I reached this human form. I am in this family. I am in this planet. So who am I? What I'm doing? Where I'm going? And what is the meaning of all this? So that's why I went to the philosophy university. To my father said, but you won't go to music. I said, I think music 24 hours a day. I need to think about mind of people so I can write, talking about lyrics, right? I want to write lyrics that don't have only meaning for the people. I want meaning for myself. I want to understand what I want to express and exchange and have this relation. So I went to, by the transcendental arrangements, we've been to Canada. I met Robert. Robert immediately sent me to New York. Before that, I went to Morocco in the Sahara Desert. Then we went to many places, Argentina touring. We went to Cabo Verde, where born Música Mundo, the conference we have here in Brazil. Last week, we have Música Mundo here. Just Chico couldn't be, but all my friends was being here. It was the first time after the pandemic. Many years I didn't see so many people like we are doing here now, but in the presential and the physical way, meeting in the business again. We went to Womex. I met Robert again there. From there, my dream, before that, we went to Europe and we touring a lot of many countries: Croatia, Germany, Netherlands, Italy. I don't remember where we went. And then we went to the India from Womex, and then my life changed because we got in touch with, and then we come back to Morocco and Africa to Visa for Music. So my deep wish to see the world, to see the cultures, as Tengol said, the vibrations, because music brings me images, brings me taste, brings me smells of that specific culture. Music express what we believe, what we see. So not only music, the arts, the movies, like the other Mike said, and I met Darryl in this online thing. So I'm following Sandra since last Be Present Everywhere. So I'm speaking very fast because we don't have time, and actually we don't have time in life. Now we have this middle age of 100 years to live in this human body and this planet, but this is it's just a blink of an eye and it's done. So what we do in Natya Yoga now, after this long journey, is we take care of our conscious, and then with that we are promoting festivals, we are promoting workshops, classes, we are exchanging cultures around the globe. Like, we developed this cultural center in India, teaching Brazilian and all the Western famous worldwide music there, and we are learning and bringing their music for here. And when I went to Morocco, I did an album with Moroccan people that it's my friends and family there, where Jimi Hendrix stay in the Paradise Valley in the middle of the farms. So this technology we are using to get a mobile studio. I'm putting the prices of studio very, very low to attend low people and produce their albums in partnership with City Baby, Marcos Showman that I met in CMJ where Robert invited us. We are sharing and distributing their songs because they cannot pay $1,000 for a song here in the studio. So I'm putting the price like what you can pay, and then I put my studio that I used to create my own music to them. My wife and I, we are doing this exchanging, touring around the globe, and having people to visit ancient and special places to change and put our students to perform anywhere. So that's what we are doing. Please be comfortable to contact me to go to India or to go to Brazil, where I have now more connections in India. But always, our as Robert said, very emotion. Our goal is to improve ourselves. When we improve ourselves, we improve our actions in the world, and this makes the world to react in the way that we act. So that's what we are trying to do. Thank you so much. And ONGEA, have a long life and beautiful, beautiful, beautiful connections and nice and divine results. Thank you so much. And another just observation. This is important, all these meetings, because I like to see everyone who is here, Malin and Jonas, I'm just meeting now, and Tengol also. I'm following everyone already in Instagram. That's what I do, because this is just an introduction, but seeing each other, following and their actions, I always say that, right, Robert? I always become aware, like, what people are doing, and with that I can connect for my benefit, not as a selfish guy, but to have something to contribute, and also to help others to connect with each other, like understanding what everyone does. So that's why I like to pay attention and everything, and that's why I really appreciate. I was just listening, not speaking. A very wise person said that if you want to know how we are, it's nice to see if someone is praying for us, if someone is remembering us, if someone is talking good about us. And when Robert invited me, it's because he remembered me again. And then I become very, very honored, like, oh, Robert reminds me. And I always remind him because he's very important in my career, So each one, we become remembering what each one is doing, give the proper value, and exchange with the sincere desire to have well wish for everyone. That's what we want. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're very welcome, and thank you as well. We all teach each other always. We all learn from each other. And, Sandra was saying that it's all about intentionality. So anyway, I want to pass the talking stick to my friends Malin and Jonas, and maybe I'll do something that's politically incorrect and do something gender contrary and give it to Jonas first, because people always say ladies before gentlemen and that kind of thing, but I just want to be a little backwards today, and I'm sure Malin will be okay, because then she'll be the headliner and Jonas will be the opening act. So Jonas.
Yeah, that's my place in history. First of all, thank you so much for having me over here. It's a real pleasure and an honor to be present everywhere. And my name is Jonas Tancred, and I'm a co-founder for Lilla Festivalen. I know a lot of native English-speaking people. They say lullaby, but it has nothing to do with a lullaby. It's Lilla actually means little village festival, because we wanted to bring out the music into the countryside again, and we think we have achieved that. The Festivalen started last year in 2021 as out of frustration because of the pandemic, of course. The last thing we could do was actually with Darryl and Indie Week in Toronto 2019, and I'm also a part of a duo, international touring musicians called Bart Johnson and Free. So my name is Jonas Tancred, but I'm also known as Bart Johnson. Back to our festival, it's a hybrid festival. It's actually a mix between a normal music festival and a showcase festival. And we see whether we have about 4 missions, I would say. One is, of course, the visitors coming to our festival. We are aiming for the family, so from the child to the granddad or the grandmom, and everyone between. So they will have an option of different genres of music to listen to. And if they don't want to listen to music, they can go and have something to eat, food. They have some shops there and entertainment they can go to. We have another, and that is the artists themselves. As artists, we know how it is to play on really bad places where you have to change in dirty restrooms, and we do not want that to happen to our artists. We want to have our artists feel how it is to be taken care of. We want to have the green room for them. We want to have professional stages and great sound, and also have them. We pay them, which means they do paid gigs, and the benefit of the showcase is that they're going to meet the professionals from the industry, the music industry. Then we have the delegates that we are inviting to come and see us at the festival as well, and we want to show them. We got to get them the opportunity to meet the artists and have one-on-one meetings with these, and also help them, coaching them and develop them in their music career. But also we want to have the delegates to see our part of Sweden, to experience what we can offer, the good part of us. We this year, was the second year, we have the fortune to have a quite big company here. It's called Absolut, and we've had a sightseeing and that company with Absolut Home, and also one of our sponsors. And we could take them out into the coastline, because we are very close to the ocean here, and into a very old fishing shed where we could treat them on a fish called eel in different shapes and forms. It was a very special occasion. Our last mission is also to for the government, the municipality, the local, the national government. So we were talking about before, the income to the municipality here in hotel nights and so forth. We want to make a good publicity for our part of Sweden and Europe and the world, of course. And by inviting bands from, our bands is 50% local, but we have also national and international bands. We had bands from Canada and Bulgaria this year, and we are looking forward to other countries for next year. So that's important for us, those 4 missions. And as I mentioned, we are also in a band. We are touring as often we can, even though there was closed down everything during the pandemic. But hopefully we'll open up. Last one was in Toronto for Indie Week, as I said, and we actually became nominated for Best International Artist. That was a great honor. And yeah, we met Darryl, and we met Robert, and so thank you for inviting me over again there, and also it's really nice to meeting you, and please contact me afterwards for a one-on-one. That would be amazing. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jonas, and Malin. I'm probably pronouncing your name wrong as well. You have the talking stick, the microphone, but I also do want to get back, Jonas, to your new technology. So if maybe Malin can talk about that after she says whatever she wants to say, or before, or whatever, because I'm really intrigued by it. And we are in the technology world, and I wasn't reading other emails. I was actually looking for the eel kissers at Lilla, one of the pictures that you sent of the eeling, because I was very sad not to be there. They kindly invited me and I just couldn't make it work-life balance. But next year I'm going to be an eel kisser too, I hope. So anyway, Malin, you're up.
Well, thank you, Robert, for inviting us. It's an honor, of course. Jonas here, he told the most, I think. I don't have so much to say, but we are new on this vad säger man, stol, on this chair, because we have it's just the second year that we have arranged this, and it's a huge thanks to Peter Östh at Future Echoes that are collaborating with us. So that's feel a lot safer, of course. And I have had a lot of business self-employed during the years, not in music, besides the Bar Johnson or Free project, of course. But I think it's the same. You always have a better success when you are networking and collaborate with other people. That's the main thing, and that's very important. But about the technology, I don't know how much we are allowed to talk about it. We are sitting in the same room, if you wonder why we're looking at each other.
Yeah, a little bit. I think the picture is...
the picture is that way.
Well, if you are not allowed to talk about it, you can talk about it later with me. But if you are allowed to talk about it, talk about it. It's up to you guys. I didn't mean to pry, but when you talked about it earlier, when we were talking, it was kind of an exciting new technology. So we can leave it at that, or Jonas, if you feel...
Well, we can say like this, that we have created a way how to put in a new value in the physical album, and I think that's all I can say. We have to wait before we have to protect the idea at first.
No problem. No problem. You know, one thing I'd like to say about that, though, is that you know, protecting an idea is kind of a strange concept, because there really is no protection for an idea. And you know, I started working with giving music subtitles 19 years ago, and YouTube is doing it because of my work. And Spanish sung music is $1 billion market. Google has made literally many billions of dollars on the closed captioning subtitles, right? But they told me it was because of my big mouth. Really talking about that, and I'm really happy about that. And you know, because YouTube also proved the concept. I'm not, you know, I mean, I'm not happy sometimes about the, you know, the ways the monies are shared and all of that, but Google does bring billions of dollars to the industry as well, and you know, has created a whole search component. You know, I do respect, you know, copyright and trademarks and protection of your ideas until it's developed and all that. But I also encourage you to share your ideas with people you trust. And I know that this is going to be on Facebook and YouTube, and you know, you don't want it to just go out in the world. So I do appreciate, you know, your you know, your protection, but I also encourage you to as well not be too afraid. Like I said before, my fearless friend over here is an inspiration for me, and you know, I think we all have to be fearless too, to actually make stuff happen that we can only dream of. Now, so this is a picture of the eel. If anybody, I can't show it. Sorry, I lost it. But so I think with that, you know, the eels are present everywhere. Peter Asted is here in Calgary with us as well. So is Uman Shah, who is an eel kisser down in your little village. So they're with us here. And thank everybody for being here. I think we can kind of wrap because it's 60 minutes. I don't know if anybody else has anything to say before we go into breakout rooms. You know, there's 15 or 20 people here watching at least. I know there's a lot more on Facebook presumably and YouTube. But if we want to go to breakout sessions, I mean, I'll be there. And what we need to do as panelists, I might not have said this before, but look at your upper left-hand screen and press the little arrow next to live. That'll take you to another screen. And then if you press on networking, you'll see a table with your name on it. And then if you just join that table, you can be present everywhere with the delegates who care to then introduce themselves to us, which is how I met Tengol 2 nights ago when I was in New York. I think it was 2 nights ago, maybe 3 nights ago. I don't know. They kind of run together when you're not sleeping much and enjoying music and meeting new people and seeing old friends again, which is great. You know, the absolute is absolute vodka that probably we've all at least seen in bars, if not drank, which was also a nice adventure for the delegates. And one of the things about music conferences around the world is when you do take people to a different experience. In Sweden, one time I was brought under the ground in a mine where they had a band set up, which was amazing. At the Trigger Festival in Borlänge, right? I think it was Borlänge. Yeah, Borlänge. And you know, so I want to get to Ghana and Kenya, and that's one reason why we're working on the Kenyan East African Music Trade Office, so that we can all actually travel and share ideas and meet people and do good work for music and do good work for our own vision of what can happen in this world, because it's really important to hold our vision strong, because form follows vision, right? We believe it, we see it, we can make it happen. So good luck, everybody. If we can meet in these sessions, if anybody else has anything to say, unmute yourself. And if you have last words, Tengol, Baladeva, anybody? Tengol?
Well, it's not something much to say, but what I want to say is let's be present everywhere with our cultures, because it's very important at this point in time. We need to collaborate more. And I know there are festivals that Malin and Jonas, you are doing in Sweden. I think it's about time you start featuring, African cultures and African music in such festivals. Darryl, I know you also do festivals in Canada and everywhere. And that's the reason why we are here. That's the reason why Michael has to create this platform, so we can get to speak, get to know each other, get to connect more, get to share ideas, and so we can really leverage it, to our benefit. Not most of us, we sitting here, we might not get to enjoy the struggle that we are putting on today, but the legacy that we are leaving behind, like Mike did mention earlier on, that is of great value to our descendants that will be coming, right after us, knowing that their ancestors did a great job, by creating a very enabling environment in terms of cultural exchange and cultural unification across the globe, and seeing ourselves as one human race, on Earth. Just a diverse presentations of us, because we need to look that way so we can be able to identify ourselves. Because if we all look the same, there will be no identification for us. But that doesn't make us different from each other. We just one human race, on Earth. And I'm very honored to be here, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you, and also pushing Ghanaian content and African content through all your individual endeavors that you are putting on, and also do the same thing, because we have to do more. Like, it should be import export, not only import alone or export alone. So let's do import export, conversation, collaborative work, so we can get to have our cultures well presented. And that is the reason why we created the Cultural Oneness Festival, which is to build on that. And I look forward to working with all of you in terms of how we can identify our cultures differently, and how we can present it to the world, so people get to know them and patronize them, and get to be part of them, and get to understand it. They can get to relate to them, so we can all build on it as a business for all of us. I'm really honored. Thank you so much, Robert, for putting me on here. I'm so honored to be part of all of you. I'm grateful.
Thank you for
Mike,
being here.
me and Mike, we met years back in Kenya. I'm not sure you'll be able to remember that, but we met in Kenya in 2018 at Access. Yeah, we had a very good conversation, and yeah, I look forward to see how best, I know now things are opening a bit for us to have the physical experience, so we can get to work on more on ONGEA Festival and see how best we can incorporate, Ghana cultures into that, and also replicate the same with the East Africa or Kenyan, cultures, back this direction. Thank you, guys. I'm really honored, and I appreciate all of you. Blessings to all of us.
What Tengol just said, definitely, and what Baladeva said, and what Malin and Jonas said, and Darryl and Sandra before, follow-up is important. Making friends and influencing people is why we're here. So keep making friends and keep connecting and keep introducing yourself and be fearless.